Professor Orren, for students in high pressure environments, which principles from this persuasion toolkit you just mentioned are vital for navigating the hierarchy with professors, for example, or leading work teams among peers with very strong opinions?
Which ones do I think work best,
Yes.
most effectively? I think I would say first off, the knowing the audience and its predispositions. That principle is not only works, but it's essential. It's hard to make any progress in persuasion, getting people to voluntarily do what you want them to do without ordering them, without bribing them, without commanding them. People discovering, looking for and discovering what people have on their mind, what's salient to them, what they care about, uh, is very effective and very important. I think that the principle of simplicity and clarity that I mentioned earlier um, is essential to effective persuasion. The great leaders, for example, in history who have been very effective persuaders have understood that they didn't take my course or read my books, but they understood in their bones the essential nature of identifying a few key ideas and having those key ideas communicated to their troops, if you will, to the people they're trying to persuade. I think those work very effectively, most effectively, and are essential, are necessary.
I've spoken with experts from different technical universities, and they all agree that academic knowledge is only a very small part of success. For a student aspiring to get into an elite university, how can they use persuasion to demonstrate that they are the candidate the institution needs?
Ah, it's it's a very good question. Just being smart and having lots of technical information is wonderful. It's absolutely, but it's not sufficient. It's not sufficient. And in addition to IQ, you need to be able to demonstrate that you have what we call EQ, emotional intelligence, that you're able to resonate with other people, which means that you are effective in being empathetic, respectful, appreciative, positive, and to convey that about yourself in your communication. And then other people respond to that. And those are the kinds of people they want to be around. Those are the kinds of people they want to work with, is the people that have IQ and EQ. You mentioned before earlier President Obama. So he took my course, it was before he became president. And he's a wonderful person. And he's a very smart guy, very smart guy. There were other smart guys and gals in that course as well. Okay. But I think he outshone them in his EQ, that his emotional intelligence. He was able to listen to other people who he agreed with or who he disagreed with in the class. We have many exercises and conversations and discussions in class, as you would imagine. And he was very effective in being a bridge builder between different points of view and hearing, and even making some changes in his own views that he learned by talking to other people. And so he was regarded as a leader. He was regarded as a leader because it was a mixture of IQ and EQ. And that combination is absolutely powerful as can be. Those are that's what we can aspire to be. And you know, it's great to have role models. Have some role models in life, in your country, famous people, not famous people, people who live or who you can look to and as a model of how to pay. And look for a person or people, either in history or in your own life, people you know, people you don't know, who can serve as models of high IQ and high EQ, and aspire to that. Aspire to that. I think he did. I don't know, one of my role models in my country is Abraham Lincoln. He's the most effective persuader in American political history, but he was also a student of persuasion. He worked on it. He worked on the principle that I talked about, the simplicity principle. He wrote about it, even talked to people about it. He didn't use the same terminology that I use, Also, the predisposition, knowing the audience. He thought that was extremely important. And he expanded his persuasiveness um, and displayed to people, wow, he had the IQ EQ mixture that it takes to be a superb leader.
As someone who speaks several languages, I've noticed that the way of thinking obviously changes with the language we are talking. Are the
Sure.
principles of persuasion universal, or should we adapt our strategy according to the culture and language of our audience?
Excellent question, Oriana. I think it is again a mixture, okay, that some of these principles are basic to humankind everywhere, cross-cutting across boundaries. They're international in their nature. They're very basic to humanity, okay? No matter where you are. You're in Africa, you're in Asia, you're in Europe, you're in Latin America, North America. So many of these principles are common to people. Um, but there are important cultural differences, language being one of them. The kind of metaphor. I talk about the importance in persuasion of using metaphors. People respond very much to good metaphors that help them understand a problem. Metaphors are sticky, they stick in your mind. Okay. But metaphors in Latin America may not be the same ones that are powerful in Asia. And people have different ones. Nonverbal communication is important in persuasion. We haven't talked about that. Your body language, right? And that differs from continent to continent, country to country to some extent. Again, there are some very basic similarities in body language and gestures and having to do with expressions, but facial expressions and hand expressions. But there are differences as well. So you need to adapt to the context in which you live and work. The place is very important, and it's place and time. Both the spatial context and the temporal time context is different. And so we need to be very fully aware of how that changes from one setting to another setting.
Professor Orren, we are entering an era where artificial intelligence can generate highly persuasive speeches. Do you believe that human authenticity will remain the most valuable asset, or are we close to an era where influence will be purely algorithmic?
Wow. This is difficult to have to look and see into the future and know what's going to be happening around the corner, beyond the horizon with these new technological changes. I certainly have the great hope and aspiration that the authenticity of the human being will maintain itself and still be preeminent in addition to and beyond the technology, that we will control technology and not vice versa. But who's to know what kind of gizmos and apparatus and then techniques that we're going to? I think the new AI, for example, is a magnificent boon to humankind. It is a tremendous gain for learning and creativity, invention, absolutely a wonderful boon. At the same time, it is a menace, as most technologies are both. And it's our responsibility as humans to regulate and control the potential menacing side of the new technology so that we as people are what are preeminent and most important, and not the technology that we're using. That's a servant to us, that we don't serve the technology. I don't know that I can predict what's going to happen around the corner. So far in mankind, we have been able to turn new technologies to our use, and we're still in control, and human being matters a great deal, but could be a change in that. Let's hope that we can maintain our ascendancy. Let's hope.
Professor, lastly, from my perspective as a young student who is just beginning to discover the world and who recognizes that I still have much to learn, what is one lesson or piece of wisdom about human communication that you wish you had discovered when you were my age, 16 years old?
Ooh, very good question. I have many good questions, and this is a very important one. What would I wish? You know, I wish that I would recognize that the biggest, there's probably many of them here, one comes to mind, that the biggest obstacle to me being a persuader is really for me to want to persuade, really want to persuade. We call what we do persuasion when we just announce our views and assert what we think. And maybe if you're not coming around to my side, I say it louder and more repeatedly and more often, and say that I call it persuasion, but it isn't persuasion. The biggest obstacle is that I have to really want to persuade, which invokes some humility on me to recognize that it is not a solo game just coming from me. It's a combination of me and my audience, whether it's one person, two people, or 2 million people, that I need to have the humility to recognize that what they think already and what's important to them really counts. And so that the principles that we talk about always involve an amalgam of the would-be persuader and the audience. And we have to really try to persuade and not just call what we do persuasion, when in fact what we're doing is just announcing what it is that we think. That's not enough to just announce what you think. Sometimes that's enough in school. You announce what you think and you got the answer right. But to be able to change someone's mind voluntarily, they willingly change their mind without ordering them or commanding them, which is what persuasion is. That's a much more difficult task than just stating what it is that you think. And I think I didn't recognize that even for a long time when I was studying and working and writing on persuasion. It took me a while to really embrace that view and realize that that's the biggest obstacle to persuasion, really doing persuasion, not just calling what we do persuasion.
Dr. Orren, I want to thank you deeply for your time, for being here with us, for obviously your wisdom and your words, and for helping us unlock the true magic of persuasion and showing us that it is a very important life skill to have. It is definitely one thing to read about leadership and persuasion in a textbook, but hearing it from the person who has spent decades at the center of Harvard's political research and helped shape the communication strategies of thousands is truly a rare honor. Your insights today have truly given us a new lens to which we can see the world. Thank you so much for the work you've done, not only at Harvard, but in showing us, the new generation, that persuasion is a skill that can be mastered for the greater good. To my viewers, you've just heard from persuasion from one of the best in the world, so please use this knowledge wisely. Thank you so much, Dr. Orren, for joining us today, and thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, and if you unlocked new knowledge, which I'm sure I did, please do not forget to hit that like button, to subscribe to the channel, to hit that notification bell, and obviously to follow me on all of my social media accounts at Oriana Unlock on Instagram and on TikTok, so that you never miss out on a new opportunity to unlock new knowledge together. Thank you so much, Dr. Orren, for joining us today. It has truly been a privilege. And thank you all for watching. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep unlocking your full potential. I will see you next time. Bye!